Catherine DeVio was a 26-year-old woman who lived on the Fifth Avenue on Rosemont, Montreal. On 11 December 2008, emergency services received a call regarding a fire breakout in an apartment on Fifth Avenue in Rosemont. When the firefighters arrived at the scene, they found the door of the apartment locked. The firefighters smashed the door and entered the apartment. There, they found Catherine dead in her bed. Her body showed signs of violence and sexual abuse. She had been found naked and tied up. There was no sign of forced entry into the apartment. This led police to believe Catherine knew her killer. The killer had also tried to remove all the evidence by setting the apartment on fire while leaving the premises. The killer had used Catherine's perfume as an accelerant to light the fire. During their investigation, police learned that Catherine had worked all day in a company on the west of Montreal. She finished her shift around 4:30 p.m. and took the Highway 40 heading east to return to her home. Due to heavy traffic that day, police estimated she would have likely arrived home around 5:30 p.m. Police believe she was likely killed between 5:30 p.m. and 7 p.m. Investigators interviewed friends, family, co-workers, and acquaintances in hopes of finding any lead, but to no avail. Men who may have been in contact with Catherine were asked to give DNA tests, but none of them matched the DNA left at the crime scene. With little to no evidence, the case would soon go cold. Police were able to recover DNA from the crime scene, and in 2018, they sent DNA samples found at the crime scene to a laboratory in the US, where a DNA phenotyping was used to determine physical characteristics of the suspect and a composite sketch was made. However, the suspect has yet to be identified. The case remains open and unsolved. Kimberly Simon was a 16-year-old girl who lived with her parents in Oneida County, New York. On September 18, 1985, Kimberly left her home around 6 p.m. to meet up with friends at the Whitesboro Junior High School on Route 69. They were going to attend a football game at the school that night. This would be the last time her family saw her alive. She never made it to the school. Her friends contacted her parents after she did not attend the football game, and at 11:30 p.m., her family reported her missing. Family, friends, and the police searched for Kimberly throughout the night, but to no avail. The following day, her body would be found in the woods along Mohawk River in Whitesboro, not far from her home. The wooded area where her body was found was on the same route that Kimberly would have taken to meet with her friends at the school. She had been beaten, raped, and strangled to death. A forensic pathologist said she was likely killed somewhere else and was dumped in the woods. Some of her personal belongings and shredded papers were later found near Carolyn Court Apartments along Clinton Street in New York Mills. A few days later, her white shoe would be found in Soquot Creek under a bridge near Clinton Street. This suggested the suspects might have tossed Kimberly's belongings out of a car window either before or after they disposed of her body. Witnesses later came forward and reported to have seen Kimberly on the night she was murdered on Mohawk Street talking to a young man in a truck as she was walking towards the school. The man was described to be between the ages of 18 and 23, had a brown shoulder-length hair, and drove either a maroon or brown late 1970 Chevy or GMC pickup truck. It is believed Kimberly was then picked up from this location and taken to a popular hangout spot along the Soquot Creek in New York Mills known as Three Bears. Another witness reported to have seen Kimberly with 4 men who were known for satanic rituals. The witness was hiding behind a tree and reported that Kimberly seemed to be drugged and unconscious, and one of the men was having sex with her in that condition. Later, a few other witnesses reported to have heard horrific screams of a female around 1 a.m. in an area called Water Tower behind Hart's Elementary School on Clinton Street on the night Kimberly was murdered. The area was about 2 miles from where Kimberly's body would be found. Soon, 19-year-old Stephen Barnes would become a suspect after a man in police custody for an unrelated crime claimed that while he was riding in a police vehicle, he had seen Kimberly walking on the road on the night she was murdered. He claimed that a truck similar to Stevens was parked nearby. A Utica police officer also claimed he saw a young man matching Stevens' description in the truck. Stevens' brother-in-law testified that he did see a young woman getting into a truck parked along the road, but said it was not Stevens' truck. Moreover, Steven had an alibi. Several people had seen him at a local bowling alley on the night of the murder. 3 days after the murder, police questioned Steven for 12 hours straight. Steven claimed he was at a bowling alley at 6 p.m. on the night she was murdered. He denied any involvement in Kimberly's murder. He was given a polygraph test, but the results were inconclusive. He was released without any charges. However, 2 years later, in 1988, he was arrested and charged with rape, sodomy, and murder. Steven was asked to submit DNA samples to the police. A year later, despite the DNA tested inconclusive and weak witness accounts, a jury sentenced Steven to 25 years to life in prison. In 1996, the Innocence Project opened the case and funded DNA tests to prove Steven's innocence. However, the DNA test came out inconclusive as the DNA technology wasn't advanced. In 2007, the Innocence Project again reopened the case, and advancements in DNA technology revealed the DNA found at the crime scene did not belong to Stephen Barnes. 19 years after he was convicted, in 2008, Stephen was finally released from prison and was exonerated of all charges. In 2011, Stephen won a $3.5 million settlement for the wrongful conviction. Shortly after Stephen was released from prison, a multi-agency task force was set up in 2008 to re-examine the case. Hundreds of people who police thought may have been involved or had information in the case were interviewed. There are 3 other suspects that the police believe are involved in Kimberly's murder, but their names have not been released to the public. Allison Scranton was with one of the 3 suspects in Kimberly's murder. However, she had died in 1997. Another female named Michelle Michaela Yunus had committed suicide a month after Kimberly's murder, and police believe she knew something about her murder. There have been no arrests since, and the case remains open and unsolved. Jennifer Rose Vernals was a 15-year-old girl who lived with her mother and grandmother in Ventura, California. She studied at Ancapa Middle School and was described by family and friends as a fun-loving but responsible teenager. On March 13, 1996, Jennifer gave a bath to her dog, cleaned her room, and decided on going for shopping. Her grandmother dropped her off in downtown Ventura to buy some jeans. However, she never called her grandmother for a ride back home. She was reported missing to the police that evening. Witnesses reported seeing her leaving the True Blood thrift shop on Ventura's East Main Street. This was the last confirmed sighting of her. Family and friends searched in and around the city and distributed missing person flyers all over Ventura. After her disappearance, the Ventura Police Department classified Jennifer as a runaway. They reported that Jennifer was seen hanging out with other runaways who later returned home. For this very reason, the police put very little effort into finding her. Even though the police considered it a runaway case, family and friends did not believe this and maintained she would have never left her family. They said that Jennifer was happy and there was nothing motivating her to run away. She was also looking forward to a family vacation to San Francisco and Yosemite. 5 months after her disappearance, on August 4, a rancher was checking his water wells when his dog brought him a human leg bone. He reported it to the police. The police searched and soon found human remains near Toro Canyon Road in Santa Barbara, California. The remains were soon identified with the help of dental records to belong to Jennifer Vernals. Her remains had been scattered by animals within a 50-foot radius, and few bones were found more than a half a mile away. The police determined she was likely killed on the same day she went missing. Now, the information available on the case is limited, and I wasn't able to find a cause of death of the victim. Anyway, after her remains were found, the police started treating the case as a homicide. Soon, 31-year-old Michael Schultz would be considered a suspect in the case. Michael was already in prison for an unrelated crime. He had been indicted and was in prison for rape and murder of 44-year-old Cynthia Berger and battering 2 Ventura police officers. It was found that Michael and Jennifer were once neighbors. About a week after Jennifer's body was found, a woman who knew Michael called investigators and told them that Michael had given drugs and alcohol to the teen and claimed that she felt he was responsible for her death. Investigators also interviewed Michael's former roommate, who told them that Michael's physical contact with Jennifer made him uncomfortable. However, police did not have enough evidence to charge Michael for Jennifer's murder. Michael admitted knowing Jennifer but denied any involvement in her murder. In 2003, Michael was sentenced to death for the murder of Cynthia Berger, and there has been no news about the sentence since. Michael Schultz remains the prime suspect in Jennifer's murder, and her case remains unsolved.